Polar Express. I love that little part when the little girl was sitting on the train and she was like, Hey K-Nation, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kierraandrea, and before we get started, let me tell y'all, listen, I am not naked. I'm not naked. Maybe I should set my chair up some so y'all can. I'm not naked, okay? I feel like y'all think I'm naked. I looked in the viewfinder and I was like, uh-oh, I look naked. Okay, so like I was saying, if you're new to my channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, become part of K-Nation, because K-Nation is the greatest nation. So I'm trying something different. I actually have a different hairstyle today. I just had a different hairstyle yesterday and I have a new one today, and maybe I'll have something different tomorrow, who knows. But this hair is actually from Boss Beauty Hair. It's a boutique where I live, but they also have an online store. I'll link it down below. I'll also link the wig that I have on, and if you guys decide to buy it, just go ahead and when you get to checkout, just pick my name at the bottom. It says Kierra Brand Ambassador. So if you see my name, click it. That way you can get you some nice hair at a discounted price. So I believe this wig was in 14 inches, but I cut it, so it's a little bit shorter now, and we did like an asymmetrical bob, what my sister did, and yeah, it's actually really nice. I've only had it done for like an hour now, but I know I needed to record a couple videos, so I figured why not get it done while my hair is done and while I look presentable. So we're gonna get into the video. Today's video is gonna be 15 Netflix suggestions that you could binge watch, okay? Because when I tell y'all this quarantine has everybody bored, when you're not doing schoolwork, you need something else that you can do and have fun. So I figured, why not give y'all some best suggestions on Netflix. It's like things that I watch. I'm not a Netflix person, I'm more of a Hulu person, but when I do watch Netflix, these are the shows that I watched. Some of them may be a little childish. I might add a little bit of movies, but that won't be counted in the 15 shows. So we're gonna go to Netflix because I have them saved in my list. So I'm gonna go to Netflix and we're gonna get the things on my list. So the first show that I ever binge watched on Netflix, like in my entire life, is Orange is the New Black. That is one show that I literally watched like 3 seasons. Well, I don't know if they have 3 seasons out there, but I think it was a whole season. So I literally watched the whole season in like 2 weeks. Their episodes are pretty long, so you can't actually watch them like all day unless you don't go to school or work. But at the time I was going to school, so I literally had to like watch it when I wasn't at school, because of course we didn't have Wi-Fi at my school because they cut us off from the Wi-Fi, so like you couldn't use your phones at school pretty much. But yeah, so I watched that. It's pretty much, I can't even tell you what it's about. It's too much that went on, and that there was so many different like plots and storylines that you could have went off of who it was about, depending on who your favorite character was. But I actually liked that show. It was really good, and I recommend it to anybody if you are maybe 15, 16 and up. And if you're any younger than that, I would not recommend you watch that. Your parents probably would have a heart attack if they catch you watching it, because it's very graphic and it shows a lot of things that 13-year-olds should not be watching. So with that being said, let's move to the next topic. I know this is something that everybody watches. Everybody watches this. You're weird if you don't. This is common. Everybody's been watching. It's You. Them not watching You, but the show You. It's pretty much about this guy named Joe Goldberg, and he falls in love with these women and he stalks them and he pretty much kills them. So I don't think I told y'all too much, but pretty much that's what happened. He literally falls in love with these women from a distance. He starts stalking them. He follows their every move. He pretty much makes them fall in love with him, and then when they try to leave him, he kills them. And there's like a couple different girls, and well, there's only 2 seasons I believe, and there's one girl in one season and another girl in another season. Well, the first season starts off with 2 girls, but it's just like a backstory of what happened with the other girl. So it was really good. I was in college, but when I tell you I watched that whole thing in a week, I watched the whole season in a week. And I only watched it slow just so that way I'll have other things that I could watch. So That show was so good. When I told you I spent like hours watching it, it was hours. Like I literally sat there for hours and I watched that show because the next show is a little bit childish. This one is for like my younger audience, but I'm 19 and I watch it because it's really good. But it is called A Series of Unfortunate Events. It is so good. It's literally about these 3 children, the Baudelaire kids, and they their parents died in a fire, I believe, and their uncle Count Olaf is basically going to be their new parent. And so they've been like, they were in a foster home, and then he came and got them, and pretty much he heard that their parents left them like $1 million or something like that because they were rich. And so if he becomes like their new parent, he will get the money, like the money will go to him. So he's trying to get the Baudelaire kids so that way the money will come to them and literally will come to him. And literally Count Olaf is like the evilest person. He does everything to manipulate the kids and treat them bad. And like the kids literally try and tell everybody that that's Count Olaf because he wears like different disguises to cover himself up to make it look like that's not him. And literally the Baudelaire kids will be like, that's Count Olaf, and people will be like, that's not Count Olaf, and it is Count Olaf. Like you can literally look at him, but obviously on the show they're oblivious and they don't know that that's him. But I love that show. I was reading the book since I was a kid. I think I read almost all of the books, but I literally loved I love the storyline, even though there's never a happy ending. I never finished it, so I don't know if there's a happy ending, which I highly doubt considering the title and the way that Count Olaf will not stop until he gets that money. So I highly doubt that is gonna have a happy ending. But this is a little childish, but I feel like if you were ever in elementary school and you had early release days, we watched The Magic School Bus. When I tell y'all I binge watched The Magic School Bus on Netflix, I watched all the seasons of The Magic School Bus. If you don't know what The Magic School Bus is, you're weird. And The Magic School Bus is pretty much about these kids that go to the school and they have a teacher, Miss Frizzle, and Miss Frizzle she's not like a witch, but she has magic, and her bus like transforms into anything that they need. So they've taken like a trip into Arnold's body because he was sick, like to see what was wrong with him. I think they took a trip inside Liz, and Liz is their lizard. I can't really explain it. I know this is childish that I have this on my list, but I love The Magic School Bus and you should too. The next show is Riverdale. I watched that a long time ago and I finished it, so I really don't remember exactly what it's about, but I can't describe it, but Riverdale was really good. I don't remember what it was about, but I watched the entire thing. Like I watched the entire whatever they had on Netflix and I binge watched it. I watched it so quick that I don't even remember. Like that's my problem. I'll watch these shows so quick, by like next month I forget what it was about. But I literally watched it often. So I recommend that to anybody if you're into like love stories / like murder stories / mystery stories, anything like that. Another show that I watched was Charmed, the old one, not the new one. Well, I'll get to the new one, but the old one, Charmed, with like the actual Phoebe and her sisters. Charmed is pretty much about these 3 witches that like face monsters 24/7. Like they live their daily lives, and they face monsters, and like one of the sisters falls in love with an angel, and pretty much witches and angels can't be together. It's like forbidden. But the show was so good. I love Charmed. I love anything that has to do with witches, werewolves, supernaturals, not ghosts. I don't play with ghosts. I don't do nothing that has to do with ghosts. And you would be like, but you watched Charmed. Charmed had a ghost, but it wasn't a real ghost. It was like something else. It wasn't a ghost. But I loved Charmed. Like it was my favorite. I'm pretty sure Phoebe was my favorite character. Like I really liked Phoebe. I liked how she was sassy and like she didn't really care what other people had to say. So I loved Charmed. That was one of my first ever like witch shows that I watched besides Sabrina the Teenage Witch. That was one of the first shows that I loved, and when I tell y'all that I literally watched it all the time. When I was younger, I watched Charmed, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, and My Wife and Kids. Like, those are the 3 things you always saw me watch, and SpongeBob. So this was like one of the shows that I watched since I was younger, because this show was old. It came out in, let's see, because I was on season 6. This came out in, it doesn't say, but I believe it came out in like the early 2000s or like 1998. It was really good, and like the first couple episodes look really old, so that's how you know that the show is old. But yeah, I love this show. I loved it with my whole heart, and I suggest you guys watch it. You'll love it if you like witches and if you don't mind shows being a little bit older. So another show that I watched, I binge watched for a while, is Black Lightning. Black Lightning was actually pretty good. I don't remember why I stopped watching it, but it's pretty much about this guy, and he is a superhero, but he keeps his identity a secret because there's people out to kill him. And then he has these 2 daughters, and they start to develop superpowers that they didn't know that they had, and they didn't know that their dad was Black Lightning. Eventually they find out. I'm not gonna say what happens after that, but it's actually pretty good. It's like a black superhero. I think that's what made me want to watch it, because there's not many shows with black superheroes, so that really made me want to watch the show. I know China and McClane's in there, but I don't know what Black Lightning's like real name is. So if you get around to checking that show out, you should. It's really good. I really can't tell y'all why I stopped watching it. I think I get bored with shows really quick, so I always like switch shows, and I think that's why I stopped watching it, because I fell in love with something else. So on to the next show, Locke Key. Locke Key is the show that I've been recently watching. I've been watching like a couple shows right now, but Locke Key is the one that I've been watching like this actual week. So Locke Key is about this little, well, it's like the story is like focused around this little boy, but it's really about a whole family, the Locke family. And pretty much their dad was like in a little pact with these people who found these keys that pretty much unlock like doors to this like supernatural world. They give you superpowers, you could turn into a ghost, all that stuff. And like there was a demon who possessed one of their friends to like take over the keys, and they ended up killing the guy and the demon. And after that they were all scared, and they promised that they will hide the keys for no one to ever find again. So they hid all the keys, and there was this one guy, I can't remember the name, but this is the father of the Locke family, and pretty much he has like a patient, and that same evil spirit that possessed his friend a long time ago possessed his patient, because he's a therapist. And when the demon possessed the patient, pretty much she convinced the guy to kill the Locke's dad, if that makes sense. So he killed the Locke's dad, and no, they never knew anything about the keys, and I think the wife did, but he erased her memory. So none of them knew anything about the keys. And the youngest son, Bodhi, he's been like finding the keys around the house, and that same like demon spirit has been trying to like get him to bring her the keys. And he made a mistake, and he brought her one key, but then he figured out that that wasn't the right thing, so he stopped bringing her the keys. And pretty much the storyline goes about this demon that's like possessing people to try to get to the locks and take the keys from them, so they can unlock this like powerful dimension that like brings like the demons into the human world. It's really good. Of course, it's supernatural. I love supernatural stuff, and that's why I watched it. But it's not bad. There's a lot of cursing, but it's not like little kids can't watch it. I feel like if you're 13 you can watch it. If you're 12 you can watch it. It's really good. I suggest it to anybody. The next show that I watched is called Vampire Diaries. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what that's about, so I don't even think I need to explain it. And I'm team Stefan, by the way, because I prefer Stefan over Damon. Damon was just too aggressive, and he always had something wrong with him. So Stefan was my favorite. And I liked Elena, but then I also liked there was a witch. I like her name's in the back of my mind, but I can't remember. But she was black, and she had that like crooked chin. I think y'all know who I'm talking about. But I liked her. I also liked Catherine, but Catherine seemed evil to me. Comment down below who you guys. I love Vampire Diaries, and I also love both of the spin-offs, which I'm gonna name. So the originals and Legacies. Those are my two favorite spin-offs of Vampire Diaries. The originals pretty much goes like with Klaus. I don't know who Klaus was to them because I didn't finish Vampire Diaries, but it's like Klaus and his family, how Klaus basically falls in love with a werewolf, or he had a one-night stand with her and created a tribrid, which is like a witch, a werewolf, and a vampire in one. And her name is Hope. That's her name. Her name is Hope, and pretty much in Legacy she ends up going to this academy for like gifted students, and she's the only tribrid there, but it's like vampires, werewolves, and everything there. And she meets with this one guy, I forgot his name, but he's also in the originals. But he ends up like taking her in as a daughter, because I'm guessing that Haley and Klaus dies, so that becomes her new dad. pretty much it's just like it shows Hope's journey, how she like fights monsters, because there's monsters that come after her because she's like one of the most powerful people. And while she's there, she meets these twins, Josie, and I don't remember the sister's name, but she meets them, and like they're like a powerful triangle, whatever. It's 3 of them. And yeah, there's a lot more to the story. Literally, like, she falls in love with this guy who comes to the school with his brother because his brother's a werewolf, and apparently he didn't have any powers, and they were gonna kick him out and let the brother stay. And then it turns out he has powers, and he's one of these, I forgot what you call it, but he's one of these things that never die. So he never dies. Like, you can kill him and then he'll like die for like an hour, and then literally his body explodes into fire, and then he comes back. So I forgot what they call it, but if you know what it is, comment it down below. It's a good show, and I suggest anybody watch it. I love it, and it's really great. So the next show that I like is Charmed 2. It's the second version of the first Charmed. So this is like, it's like 3 sisters again. Well, it starts off with 2, and then they find out that they have another sister, and they're a lot younger. They're in our generation, and pretty much it's just like their daily life of them fighting monsters and everything like that. So the next show that I have on here is Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. So that's pretty much Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but a newer version, and it's like about this girl Sabrina who's coming up on her 16th birthday, and then like I guess that's when, like, I'm not sure what it is that decides, but something decides if she becomes a light witch or a dark witch, and she like tries everything in her power to become a light witch, but there's so much that's pulling her to the dark side, and she's starting to become a dark witch. And then in the end, you'll see what happens if you watch it. But it's really good. Like, she kills a lot of people, and then she also brings people back, which is the wrong thing to do, because you always know that if it's anything supernatural and someone dies and you bring them back, it's not the same person. 9 times out of 10 it's a demon, and it's not the person that you thought it was. So another thing that I watched was iZombie. It's this girl who, I believe she gets bitten by a zombie, and like everybody thinks that she dies, but she literally wakes up as a zombie, and she's a scientist and she works in a lab. So pretty much like she examines dead bodies all the time, and then like afterwards she eats their organs, and pretty much it's just her way. It's like her life of her finding like a cure for her like zombie disease, and her working in the lab and like helping solve crimes also, because she has like this like type of vision that like shows her what happened when someone dies. So like she can see how everybody dies, so she also helps solve crimes as well as try to cure her zombiness and also try to hide it. It's really good. I started watching it years ago, but I've been watching it a lot lately. I suggest that to anybody who's looking for something to watch. So another show that I watched that was really good is The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. It's on Netflix. It's an older show. They took it off and then they brought it back. But it's about this girl, Kimmy, and she's like 30, and pretty much she's kind of like wishing she was young again. So she's like finding her way through life. She's like finally moving out of her parents' house and doing things that basically 20-year-olds would be doing, but she's doing it in her 30s. So like she's getting a new job. She ends up moving in with her gay roommate Otis, and they become friends, and pretty much she like goes to like gay strip clubs with him, and they pretty much do life together. And it's like she takes on many different jobs. That's not her type of job, and she's very irresponsible. Like, she has the mind of a 12-year-old, but she's like 30. So everything that she does is very kiddish, but it's really good because it's like she falls in love, and I can't really say because then I'll be telling it, but pretty much it's about a girl who's 30 years old with the mind of a 12-year-old. It's really good, and I recommend it to anybody. Now, the last show that I normally watch, or that another show that I've watched that is pretty decent, is Always a Witch. So Always a Witch is about this girl who comes, like, she's from like a different century, and pretty much it's hard to explain. So pretty much she was in like the Salem witch trials time, and she basically got burned. Like, they killed her and she got burned, and then like it sent her to our dimension. So she gets put in our dimension. She like really doesn't speak all that well. Like, she speaks that old time language, and pretty much everybody's trying to like figure out who she is, and she's trying to like hide her power so she doesn't get killed again, because like she thinks that she's still in the same time, but she's really in our time. So it's pretty much about how she learns to adjust to our world, like hide her powers, and try to find the people who are in her covenant. and it's really good. And it's also a little weird because if you watch their mouth, they're not speaking English, but they put like, they had people do like an English voiceover, so it's like people speaking English, but the people who are actually recording like the show do not speak English. I believe they speak Spanish because that's what it looks like they're speaking. I know a little bit of Spanish, and that's kind of what it looked like. But the show is really good. I don't remember how many episodes I watched, but I finished the season. I don't know how many episodes it was, but it was really good, and I recommend it to anybody. So that is all of the shows that I recommend on Netflix. Like I said, I'm not a big Netflix person. I love Hulu more, but if you like Netflix, this is for you, because Netflix is the most common thing. A lot of people don't get Hulu because Hulu is not exactly like fun shows. It's like more of a, I feel like it's more for adults. It's not really for kids because there's not many kids shows on Hulu. But I love Hulu. But I just want to tell y'all a couple movies that I love, that I recommend people to watch. So my favorite movie on Netflix, all time favorite movie, like the best movie in the whole wide world, is Coraline. If you know me, you know that I love Coraline. That movie holds a dear spot in my heart. I'm so serious. Like, that movie holds a whole spot in my heart. That is a movie that my uncle introduced me to when I was a kid, and ever since then I loved it. And we lost my uncle like maybe almost 2 years ago, and so I just feel like that's my way of being connected to him, is through that movie. And I love that movie. I love Coraline. I can literally sit there and watch it all day long. Like, my college roommate, I know she was tired of me because literally every time she came in the room, I had Coraline on the TV. Like, that's literally all I watched. It helped me relax, it helped me go to sleep. I love Coraline, and if y'all watch Coraline, y'all love it too. I forgot to tell y'all what it's about. It's about this girl who moves to a new house, and pretty much there's like this like ghost lady who lives there inside this little like door that has like, it takes you to another dimension to give you everything that you want. So she always finds a kid that seems unhappy at home, and she pretty much makes this doll that looks like them and gets them to play with it and then lure them to the door. And when they get to the door, she takes them to this other dimension and shows them pretty much roses. It's like everything that they want. Like Coraline, she wanted new gloves. The lady gave her the gloves. She made her favorite meal. She made a pretty garden with her face on it. She made everything look nice. And then what she does is she gets you to sew these buttons on your eyes so she can steal your soul. And so pretty much Coraline isn't letting this lady steal her soul, and she fights back and tries to get back to the door. Pretty much the ghost lady takes her parents and traps them in the other dimension, so that way Coraline would have no one to come home to. And so it would make her want to come back there and let her sew the buttons on her eyes so they would release the parents. And so when she like gets to the other side, she finds these other kids who let the lady sew the buttons on their eyes and took their soul, and the kids went missing. Like, they never went back home. And pretty much Coraline helps them. Like, she frees them, they get their soul back, they go to heaven, and she gets her mom and dad back, and she locks that door and never opens it again. But I love Coraline. When I tell y'all that's my favorite movie, that is my favorite movie. I know people get tired of me watching it, but it's so good. Like, I love Coraline, and I feel like y'all will like it if you watch it. If you have like a childish side, it's a good movie for you. It's not that childish because my little cousin is scared of that movie. She's terrified of it. It's a little scary, because back then I was scared of the movie when I first saw it at my uncle's house. But eventually the movie got good and I wasn't afraid of it, and now I love it. So that's one movie that I definitely recommend. Another movie that I love on Netflix is It Takes Two. It Takes Two is so good. It's really old. Like, I don't even remember when they made this. It was like 1995. Yeah. It's pretty much with Mary-Kate and Ashley, and pretty much when they were born they were split up, and one was sent to foster care and one went with the dad. And pretty much the dad becomes like a millionaire. Like, he's rich, he has like many different summer houses, and the one in foster care has like been bouncing around trying to find a home, but no one wants to take her and adopt her because she's a lot older. And so then pretty much they end up going to Camp Calloway, and Camp Calloway is actually the dad's camp. Him and the mom made it before she died. And so like the other daughter, the other sister that lives with the dad, she pretty much like went to stay at the house for the first time. And so she happens to get mad at her dad because her dad announces that he's getting married to this gold digger woman who just wants his money. And she runs away to the camp, and basically the girl from the camp was playing, she was mad about something, so she ran away. And then like they like hit each other, then they became friends, and they decided to switch. They decided to like switch lives, and one went that way, the other went that way. So one went to the dad and one went back to the foster care, and then pretty much they get the foster care mom to fall in love with Mr. Calloway, which is their dad, and then it's a whole happy family again. It's really good. It's corny. It's like Parent Trap, but it's really good, and I love that movie. I recommend it to anybody. My granny loved that movie when I would watch it with her, and I still love it now. I recommend that movie to anybody who's looking for something to watch and they don't mind old time movies, because a lot of people hate old time movies, but I love them. So if you love old time movies, that's the movie for you. And let's see, I'm gonna find one more that I can tell y'all that I like to watch that's actually pretty good. My favorite movie on Netflix is The Polar Express. I love that little part when the little girl was sitting on the train and she was like, I love that part. Y'all don't remember that part when the boy was over there and she was just watching him, she was kicking her legs? Yeah, I love that part. If you don't know what The Polar Express is about, pretty much it's about these kids that like they end up getting on this like private train that takes them to the Polar Express with Santa, and they get to meet Santa. They get to like ask him a wish, and it's pretty much their journey on the way to the North Pole, everything that happened, and then when they get there they literally leave their group and get stuck other places. Yeah, it's really good. I've been watching that movie for a long time. It came out when I was in kindergarten and my school took us on a field trip to see it, and ever since then I've been in love with that movie. I don't know why I didn't tell y'all my other ones, so I have to tell y'all one more. My other favorite movie on Netflix, my favorite Christmas movie is The Grinch. If you know me, I watch The Grinch I can't even talk. I watch The Grinch all the time. I watch that since since they put it on Netflix. Every year I watch The Grinch. I watch The Grinch when it's not Christmas. I watch in the summer. I just watched it last week. I love The Grinch. If everybody knows, like that's like my favorite Christmas movie, and that's the main one that I want to watch. I also like Snow Globe, which is another movie, but Netflix took it off. It's not on Netflix anymore. But that's a really good movie as well. Let me stop giving y'all stuff, because literally now I'm starting getting into stuff that's not on Netflix. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of everything that I watch on Netflix. I know it's a little odd because I don't watch the same things that everyone else watches, like All American. Don't like that show. I don't know. I like supernatural stuff and like cartoons and fairy tales and love stories and princesses and stuff. That's the stuff that I like. So I don't watch like things like that. That's why I was surprised that I even watched Black Lightning, because I don't even like superhero stuff. But yeah, that's everything that I watch on Netflix. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have anything that you think I should watch, leave it down below. I'll check it out and I'll let you know what I think about it. If you want a part 2 of this video, I can definitely do that, but I can include things that I watch from Hulu and Disney Plus, because I do watch those. So just let me know and I'll definitely get into it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you made it to the end of this video, comment Netflix down below, or just say I made it to the end of this video. So yeah, that's it for this. I'll see y'all in my next video.